Dylan Gabriel, an NFL quarterback.
In the past 2 seasons, the Cleveland Browns are 5-21. They have won 5 out of their last 26 games.
I am absolutely embarrassed to be a fan of that fucking team.
Y'all are rewriting history. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse for Browns and Browns fans, Kevin Stefanski comes out and says he's sticking with Dylan Gabriel. And look, that's not really a big deal. He's a young player. He's a 3rd-round pick, but there's a lot else that's going on with it, especially with all the pressure of the Browns fans demanding for Shedeur. Look, man, it's not people like me. It's not people like G. Bush. It's not people who've always told you that Shedeur Sanders is a 1st-round talent and Dylan Gabriel is a 4th and 5th-round talent. Actually, that was NFL scouts that said that. It's now the Cleveland Browns fans who are pleading, begging for Shedeur Sanders to start. And as a Shedeur Sanders fan, I don't want that. Not after seeing what Dylan Gabriel. They handpicked Dylan Gabriel. They wanted Dylan Gabriel. Kevin Stefanski reached for Dylan Gabriel, and all we've seen is pain, misery, agony, and painfully midness. So let's hear Kevin Stefanski sticking with his guy.
With you guys, losing this game and kind of now being behind the 8 ball, do you stick with Dylan Gabriel after this game, or do you think about making a change?
Yeah, we're going to stick with Dylan. Obviously, this is a young players that
obviously
always trying to get one game better and those type of things. But we have to play better as an offense. We have to coach better. All the above.
Oh yeah, all the above, man. Shout out to that song. It's a great song. But look, I think we all saw this coming, right? I think we could all see this coming. What we can't see coming is, again, the historical rate at which this happened and all the other fallout from that. So how unlikely was the Jets' 27-20 loss, right? Since 1950, teams had been 225-0 when holding opponents to 175 or fewer yards and not turning the ball over. The Browns were the first team to lose in that span. So again, like I told y'all yesterday, it's not that this is just a loss, right? It's that it's a historical loss. And not just a historical loss to a terrible team who just traded probably arguably 2 of their best players on the defensive side of the ball. Well, the 2 best players on the side of the ball, but maybe 2 best players on the team, right? So you keep twisting the knife in this wound. And I want to remind everybody this one thing. This is Stefanski's guy. Now, again, y'all know I'm a Shedeur fan. Y'all know I think Shedeur can play football. And a lot of other coaches out there and NFL scouts believe the same thing. Look, if NFL teams just didn't believe that, cool, fine, all good, and that's all crispy. But you're telling me that a man who was not only handpicked, who got first-team reps since he got on campus, who got first-team reps exclusively when Joe Flacco left, we haven't seen any real improvement. Now, we did see him push the ball down the field a little more Sunday, right? But what did that really encompass? When you take 6 sacks, 6 sacks, and some who were just horrendous. I mean, some you had people wide open. Just to show you a quick picture, this play, he got a sack. You got a man here. You got 2 people just lollygagging, having a great time here on 4th and 1. On 4th and 1, he takes a sack. So I'm at a loss for words. Because if Shedeur Sanders is worse than what we're seeing from Dylan Gabriel, the Browns need to be expedited to the CFL for being an absolute horrendous football program. Because you're telling me Shedeur Sanders is worse than this? If he's worse than this, forget the practice squad. Nobody should have drafted Shedeur Sanders. If you're telling me, if you're going to tell me with a straight face, because I have people in my comments, well, Shedeur Sanders couldn't beat out Dylan Gabriel. What? Dylan Gabriel wasn't even going to get a start until Joe Flacco got shipped off. So what let me correct that. Joe Flacco had to get traded away for Dylan Gabriel's number 1 spot to be secured, right? For him to get more first team reps. They traded, and whoever did it, they did it. But if you trade away Joe Flacco, it has to be with some confidence that Dylan Gabriel, or at least the quarterbacks on the roster, can breathe air and complete some football passes, right? But that's not what we're seeing from Dylan Gabriel. And that's what's so jarring to me and probably jarring to a lot of Browns fans. I was under the assumption that Dylan Gabriel would be okay. He would just be cool. Not remarkable. He's not going to knock your socks off. Or he's not going to win games with Dylan Gabriel, right? He's smart. He's efficient. He's effective. We haven't seen that. And I have to, at this point, as a Shedeur fan, look at the Browns and say, y'all are the problem. And honestly, I do not want Shedeur out there. I said, oh, I don't want Shedeur until Kevin Stefanski gets fired. I don't want Shedeur playing for the Browns, period. The organization is cursed. Kevin Stefanski can't coach. It's a real bad spot. So how do some of the players feel about this loss post-game? Here is Joe Batonio.
In the NFL, some of the all-time greats, and I'm not comparing anybody, but you look at some of their interceptions, their sacks, their things like that. Like, it takes a long time to see enough defenses and enough, plays in this league. And I'm going to continue to fight for whoever's back there. Like, the whole offensive team has to be better for him to make sure that he has his opportunities.
So great support from the veteran. Let's see what Myles Garrett felt about the quarterback situation.
Frustration. I mean, try your best not to point fingers. So you just try to clean up what you can, execute the best you can, and be part of the solution. So what do I think about what?
What do you think about the fact that you guys are sticking with the status quo, or Kevin's sticking with the status quo and continuing to go with Dylan instead of turning it over to Shedeur?
Quarterback direction has nothing to do with me. I'm worried about the defense and us giving up the points that we did and the first downs we did. Who we stick with the quarterback is up to Kevin.
I mean, hey man, it's not fun losing, right? And it's not fun losing in historical fashion. It's even less fun losing in historical fashion to a terrible team who had not won a game after trading away their best players. Or had not won a game at home after trading away their best players. And there's been a lot of discourse about Myles Garrett and him staying and feeling bad. I'm sorry, there's no human who can't feel bad for one of the greatest defensive players of all time being stuck on an island of Cleveland. They told him, hey, we're going to try to win football games, and they wasted a top 100 pick instead of getting more depth for the cornerbacks, more depth for the linebacker room, which you're thin on. Shout out to Carson Schweringer. He's making up for a lot of it. That instead of getting depth at the offensive line position, instead of getting depth at your worst position probably when it comes at wide receiver, right? You got and reached. You reached for a quarterback and then got another quarterback. And now that quarterback's playing like 2 packs of ass. And I have no one else to blame but the Browns. Why would the Browns put Dylan Gabriel in the situation knowing what they know? Maybe, and maybe this has been my entire point making these videos, maybe the Browns have a history of bad quarterback play. Interesting. And not just bad quarterback play, because you have to, it would be one thing if the Browns just chose bad quarterbacks. But clearly they don't, because those bad quarterbacks go to other places and they look good, right? And a 47,000-year-old Joe Flacco goes up the road to the Bengals, looks amazing. Baker Mayfield gets shipped off. He's elite everywhere he goes and gets better and better and better and better. So I have to, with those facts, right? We're all big boys here, right? And girls. I want you to tell me again, who has the Browns turned into a franchise quarterback? Okay, nobody. Who have the Browns picked, nurtured, and became a franchise quarterback? Nobody. Who have the Browns traded for that was the right decision at quarterback? Nobody. You took one of the most remarkable rookie quarterbacks of all time, and Deshaun Watson. Now, obviously, after a few years of, you know what I mean. And he goes out there and he looks absolutely dyslexic. Shout out to all my dyslexic people out there. It's not a dig at you guys, right? I'm just saying he's seeing ghosts. He's seeing the words are popping up. They're all over the place. He's seeing the Browns instead of said the Cardinals. Like it's too much going on for him. Okay? So with all that being said, why would I think the Browns are making the right decision and or developing either of these quarterbacks? I feel bad for both of them. I feel bad that, on 4th and 1, Kevin Stefanski is yelling, "Don't move. Please don't move." And he knows he knows it's over with. He knows it's over with. But this Kevin Stefanski, it's the reflection of your coaching. Your coaching led to them jumping on 4th down and give the Jets the game. Defensive pass interference, all this other defensive holding, like just pissing down your leg anytime you can. And if I was a Browns fan, I'd be pretty sick of it. Here's Mr. Mikey, right? And we've seen a little bit of his tweets. He does great. He has some reporting. He's talked to Shedeur. Obviously, you can see him talking to Shedeur. But he's been pretty fair. Like, he's been pro Dillon Gabriel when Dillon Gabriel gets his chance, but not condescending to anybody, right? And he says he's been unwavering in the support of Kevin Stefanski over the years, but it's clear the team needs a change. His unwillingness to adapt or move off his supercomputer, Dillon Gabriel, has gotten to a tipping point. The culture is destroyed in Cleveland. The players aren't responding. It's no longer working out with him at the helm. The entire league and locker room knows Dillon Gabriel isn't a starting quarterback in the NFL, yet the Browns keep trotting him out there week after week, as if something is going to change. It's been unwatchable product for 10 weeks. Let's see if maybe something can change by going to Sanders, who's far more talented and was a better collegiate quarterback. But no, Stefanski knows best. He's won 5 games in 2 seasons and has seen every quarterback he's coached succeed far more elsewhere than they did in his offense. Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay, Watson, Houston, that's before, Flacco in Cincinnati, Brissett in Arizona. Again, I don't understand how we wake up and we don't have a Kevin Stefanski is fired call, right? Here's what the Browns fans have to say. Let's see it. And here's
in the past 2 seasons, the Cleveland Browns are 5-21. They have won 5 out of their last 26 games. They have brought so much joy to opposing teams. Teams like the New York Jets, who are literally openly trying to tank. They traded their 2 best defensive players this week. They don't want to win. And the Browns still lost. We are the most undisciplined team in the NFL. The least fun team to watch. We're just so hopeless on all fronts.
Awesome. Love it. How about another one?
Absolutely embarrassing. I am absolutely embarrassed to be a fan of that fucking team.
Gee, whoa. And I don't know if that music's copyright, but you can see he's frustrated. And we already talked about this guy,
Hold on. Oh my God, let's watch that again. Watch this. Dillon Gabriel,
Look, man, I want to bring this back to this, right? I want to bring us all back to the multiple Cleveland Browns on social media are calling for an investigation into the rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel after he missed wide open receivers and took multiple awful sacks. Now, maybe the most reasonable thing that's going on here is maybe Dillon Gabriel, I don't know, maybe they got some crazy Hawaiian sports books out there and he owes the Hawaiian mob like $8 trillion. Because I have to be honest with you, when you look at stuff like this, right? Now I want y'all before we're too mean, right? This is a long throw for Dillon Gabriel. This is, what is that? That's about 10 yards. So we know his average at the target is 6 yards. So this is a far throw for him. Now, yes, he completely overthrew a screen. A screen. I'm not here to judge rookie quarterbacks. I'm not here to call Dillon Gabriel ass. But when you play like ass, I've got to call it ass. I don't know what else you want me to call it. Dillon Gabriel looks Mahomes. And shout out to him. He did look pretty good, rolling out a little bit, you know what I'm saying, getting loose, and then throws behind Jerry Jeudy. Don't know how that's not an interception. I mean, it just, there's nothing that makes you happy about this. There's nothing, as you see multiple receivers wide open, that should make you happy about this. But to end it all, right, because I told you, hey, Kevin Stefanski, this is Kevin Stefanski's guy. Dillon Gabriel is Kevin Stefanski's guy. Kevo trusts Dillon Gabriel, gives him the keys to the castle, XYZ LMNOP, right? Another person who was steadfast on the Dillon Gabriel supercomputer train is everybody's favorite Mr. Tony Grossi, right? Now, I said in the past, like, hey, Tony, what I would appreciate if you would just stand on your 10 toes. Just stand on them. If you're going to say, hey, and this is from August and what I think, Brown's offense will have a much quicker pace under Dillon Gabriel. He is an accurate thrower with an above average arm. And he processes the field quickly. Now, I agree with this last sentence. People may be surprised. I was shocked. I was mortified. I got to be honest with you. I think surprised is an understatement. I was quite surprised. Mr. Tony Grossi, 8'16", safe to say, operating the position of quarterback is not a problem for Dillon Gabriel. Remember that? Remember when all the Browns fans were dunking on Shedeur, saying, "Oh well, maybe this 5'9" quarterback that no one else wanted, maybe he is good, huh?" And November 9th, 2025, this is what he had to today. This is what he had to say today as the game was going on. Anyone who thinks the Browns can win games with mid-round rookie quarterbacks is delusional. The Joe Flacco trade by Andrew Berry was an emphatic statement on the direction of the franchise. What happened, Tony? What happened? Buddy, Ryan had a saying, dumb will get you beat, and no NFL team is dumber than the Browns. The Jets, really? The final penalty silly was playing make you look bad with a child. Here's what would happen if the Browns got the ball back. Sack, time expired. What happened? It really, and of course he had some nasty things to say about Shedeur, right? Actually, let's not leave him. I want to make sure I have everything together. So, you say, hey, Dillon Gabriel, mid-round quarterbacks. He's talking about Shedeur. Oh, it doesn't matter if we change. We're not gonna win. Y'all, you went from everything's going to be hunky-dory, Dillon Gabriel can play the position, and now you're making excuses for why the Browns are terrible. Well, actually, no quarterback will ever be able to solve this issue. Interesting. And then when people press you about it, right, he says Gabriel is a gross guy, 5'9", elite processing, grossly the specialist who's never played football. And he says he outplayed a fifth-year veteran who was a first-round pick. My God. The delusional Shedeur Sanders quote, huh? Well, the delusional delusional Dillon Gabriel quote. Y'all are worse than us. Y'all are rewriting history. Kenny Pickett, the same player who the last time we saw him play, he threw himself into a sack with the best offensive line in football? That's the one Dillon Gabriel outplayed. The same one who had a hamstring injury the entire preseason, played no preseason reps. The same quarterback who took first team reps away from Shedeur without playing preseason. That's the person he beat out. The person who got traded off to the Raiders. A fifth-year veteran who was a first-round pick. It's Kenny Pickett! Golly! And then, of course, he had to say something about Shedeur. And he said, a quarterback on the roster was a grade at first rounder, cough, by no NFL team. Tony Grossi, I don't know if you remember, you thought he was a first round pick. We've watched the videos on my channel. The delusion is absurd. Y'all want to gaslight people and try to just find a way. Y'all are trying to find your head. Well, I guess Shedeur shouldn't play. Y'all want to ask every other question except for why isn't he out there? And personally, I don't want him out there. I don't want him to play with this bullshit. I don't. But y'all gotta stop being facetious. No NFL team. Well, every NFL team had Dillon Gabriel at the bottom of their draft board. You know why? Because that's what the NFL scouts said. The NFL scouts said Shedeur was a first to second rounder. They said Dillon Gabriel was a fourth to fifth. They said Cam Ward was a potential number one pick. Guess what? He went number one. Jackson Dart, first round pick. Guess what? He went in the first round. Tyler Shugg, late second round pick. Guess what? He went in the second round. It's so interesting how it only matters when it's Shedeur. When it's Shedeur, well, the NFL teams, they all decided what round he was. That's not how football works, guys. Are you telling me Mike Green was a second round pick? Or second round talent, rather? Out of Marshall? No. He had allegations. There was a reason he fell. Are you telling me Laramie Tunsil fell because of, the teams just didn't think he was No, it was the gas mask. But Tony Grossi, I get it. You're old and you're a delusional Dylan Gabriel cultist, right? So I'm not gonna even, actually, I'm gonna keep engaging with the Dylan Gabriel cultist. I'm gonna show y'all how to use stats and facts to back it up, because there are no stats and facts that back up Dylan Gabriel. Not his collegiate career, not what he did in the preseason, not what he did at training camp when you were saying that Shedeur Sanders spins the ball better. But can we talk more about Dylan Gabriel? Well, here we are. I'm going to make a video every day saying Tony Grossi's guy, the supercomputer, is 2 packs of ass, and Tony don't want to stand on it. Now, oh, well, I mean, no rookie. I mean, nobody could do. Just stand on it, dog. I need you to have I trust the supercomputer shirt on. You better have that shit on Aceman Cleveland. I'm up your ass, boy. Pause. Anyway, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't. Subscribe if you like football kinds of all shapes, sizes, forms, and fashion. Please pay our respects to the absolutely delusional Dylan Gabriel cult. See you next time. Peace.